Okay, so this is going to be just a quick little practice over some 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90 triangles, and they're just kind of mixed in all together. So we're going to go over a couple of these. So we're going to talk about these 6 real quick because I made them a little bit bigger. So this first one is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, and notice I put the 2 little reference triangles up here, and that's what they're called as reference triangles because I'm going to refer back to these. So 45, 45, 90. So to go from, this is giving me my hypotenuse. To go from my hypotenuse to my leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. So the square 28 divided by the square root of 2. I have to rationalize the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. So I get 28 square roots of 2 over 2. I can simplify that to give me 14 square roots of 2. Remember, both of my legs are exactly the same, so x and y are going to have the same answer, so both of those are going to be 14 square roots of 2. For my 30, 60, 90 triangle, I'm being given my hypotenuse. Now, I always want to refer back to my short leg. So to go from my hypotenuse to my short leg, I want to divide by 2. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. To go from my short leg to my long leg, I want to multiply by the square root of 3. So 8 times the square root of 3 is 8 square roots of 3. This is my 30, 60, 90 triangle again, and I'm being given my short leg, so that's pretty easy for me. To go from my short leg to my hypotenuse, I multiply by 2, so 11 times 2 is 22. To go from my short leg to my long leg, I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3, so that's going to give me 11 square roots of 3. So 11 square roots of 3 and 22. So number 14 is also a 30, 60, 90 triangle. In this case, they're giving me the long leg. To go from the long leg to my short leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. So 15 square roots of 3 divided by the square root of 3. My square roots of 3 cancel out, so I'm left with 15. To go from my short leg to my long leg, I'm going to multiply by 2, so I get 30. So my short leg x is 15 and my hypotenuse is 30. Number 16 is also a 30, 60, 90 triangle where they give us the long leg. To go from my long leg to my short leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. So 6 divided by the square root of 3. Remember, I have to rationalize my denominator. So I get 6 square roots of 3 over 3. I didn't write that neatly though. I can actually reduce that. 6 goes into 3 2 times, so that's actually 2 square roots of 3. So this is 2 square roots of 3. To go from my short leg to my hypotenuse, I multiply by 2, so I get 4 square roots of 3. So x is 4 square roots of 3. And y is 2 square roots of 3. Number 17 is a 45, 45, 90. It's giving me my hypotenuse. To go from my hypotenuse to my leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. So the square root of 10 divided by the square root of 2. Because both of those are actually underneath a radical, I can go ahead and divide those numbers. I can do 10 divided, or the square root of 10 over 2, and give me the square root of 5. So this side is the square root of 5. If this is the square root of 5, then this is the square root of 5 because they are the exact same. So x is the square root of 5 and y is also the square root of 5. Now, if I didn't know that I could do this, let me back up a little bit. If I didn't know that I could do this, then I can still rationalize. So when I rationalize, I'm going to multiply by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. which gives me the square root of 20 over 2. But I would have to know that I'd have to break down the square root of 20. That breaks down into the square root of 4 times 5. The square root of 4 is 2. My two 2's cancel out, and I'm left with the square root of 5. So either way, I end up with the same answer. Okay, let's look at the other 3 that I had to move off to the side so I could see better. So number 12 is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So it gives me a leg. Remember, my legs are the same, so x is 4. To go from my leg to my hypotenuse, I multiply by the square root of 2, so I get 4 square roots of 2. Number 15 is also a 45, 45, 90. To go from my hypotenuse to my leg, I divide by the square root of 2. So 9 square roots of 2 divided by the square root of 2. My square roots of 2's cancel out, so I'm left with 9. So both of these are 9. For number 18, this is a 30, 60, 90, where they're giving me the hypotenuse. To go from the hypotenuse to the short leg, I'm dividing by 2. So 38 divided by 2 is 19. To go from the short leg to the long leg, I multiply by the square root of 3. So x is 19 and y is 19 square roots of 3. Okay, these are a little bit more cumbersome because, as you can tell, they have a 30, 60, 90 triangle and a 45, 45, 90 triangle kind of stacked on top of each other. So I don't have any information for my 45, 45, 90, but I do have some information for my 30, 60, 90, so I'm going to start with that. On my 30, 60, 90 triangle, they give me the short leg. So based on the short leg, I can find the hypotenuse and the long leg. So 30, 60, 90, they give me 9. So my hypotenuse, 9 times 2 is 18. And my long leg is 9 square roots of 3. Well, the long leg of my 30, 60, 90 triangle is the hypotenuse of my 45, 45, 90. So to go from the hypotenuse to the leg, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. So 9 square roots of 3 divided by the square root of 2. I still have to rationalize my denominator. I understand it has 2 radicals in it, so that may get you a little bit in a tizzy, but that's okay. I'm just going to multiply my 2 radicals together, and I get 9 times 2 times 3, so it's the square root of 6. Remember, anytime I multiply 2 of the same radicals, I just get what's on the inside. So z is 18. X, so what I think exactly is what I just found, is 9 square roots of 6 over 2. Now remember, for my 45, 45, 90 triangles, my 2 legs are exactly the same. So y is also 9 square roots of 6 over 2. For number 21, this is also a 30, 60, 90 stacked on top of a 45, 45, 90. They give me information about the 30, 60, 90. They give me the hypotenuse. I always have to relate it back to my short leg. So to go from my hypotenuse to the short leg, 12 divided by 2 is 6. To go from my short leg to my long leg, I have to multiply by the square root of 3, so this is 6 square roots of 3. In this case, this side of my 30, 60, 90 triangle is the leg of my 45, 45, 90. So these two sides are equal to each other. So this is also 6 square roots of 3. What do I do to go from my leg to my hypotenuse? I'm going to multiply by 2. I'm going to multiply by the square root of 2. So this is 6 square roots of 3 times the square root of 2. Just like before, I'm going to multiply what's underneath the radicals, so it's 6 square roots of 6. So x is 6, y is 6 square roots of 3, and z is 6 square roots of 6. Okay, so for number 23, my picture is a little bit cut off, so let me just kind of expand this triangle a little bit for you to the best of my ability. This is a right angle. This tells me it's a 60-degree angle, and I believe that this part is y This part's y, and this part is z. Okay, now in this case I have a 30, 60, 90 triangle right next to a 45, 45, 90. This time they're giving me information in my 45, 45, 90, and they're giving me the hypotenuse. So how do I go from the hypotenuse to the leg? Well, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. So 15 square roots of 2 divided by the square root of 2. Well, the square root of 2's cancel out, and this is left with 15. Remember, my two legs are congruent, so 15. So z, in this case, is equal to 15. And that gives me the long leg of my 30, 60, 90 triangle. I always want to revert back to my short leg. So how do I go from the long leg to the short leg? I'm going to divide by the square root of 3. So I have 15 divided by the square root of 3. I have to rationalize my denominator, so I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So I have 15 square roots of 3 over 3. Now I can simplify that because 3 goes into 15 5 times, so that actually gives me 5 square roots of 3. So that's my short leg. I don't have a lot of room down there, so I can't really write it. So y is 5 square roots of 3. So what do I do to go from my short leg to my hypotenuse? I need to multiply that by 2. 5 times 2 is 10 square roots of 3. I wish I had more room for that one. Go ahead and replay that if you need to. But again, 10 square roots of 3 is my hypotenuse because I multiplied by 2. 5 square roots of 3 is my short leg, and 15 is my long leg, which is also a leg of my 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay, my last 3 examples are shown here. This last one just loses a right angle, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw that in. Okay, so again, it's 45, 45, 90s stacked on a 30, 60, 90 for number 20 and number 24. Number 22 has two 30, 60, 90 triangles stacked on top of each other. Okay, so we're going to start with number 20, 45, 45, 90. So what they're giving us here is a leg. Remember, my two legs are congruent. So if this side is 32, then the other leg is also 32. To go from the leg to the hypotenuse, I have to multiply by the square root of 2. So this gives me 32 square roots of 2. This side's 32, and this happens to be my hypotenuse of the 30, 60, 90. So to go from the hypotenuse to the short leg, because remember, we're always reverting it back to the short leg. So 32 divided by 2 is 16. To go from the short leg to the long leg, we're going to multiply by the square root of 3. So that's going to give me 16 square roots of 3. Okay, so 22, like I said before, has two 30, 60, 90 triangles set up on top of each other. So we're going to look at the one with information, which is this one right here. This side that it's showing is actually across from this one's 30-degree angle. So this is the short side right here. So to go from my short side to my hypotenuse, I have to multiply by 2. So this is going to give me 14 square roots of 3. To go from the short side to the long side, I have to multiply by the square root of 3. So 7 square roots of 3 times the square root of 3. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3, so 7 times 3 is 21. Now 21 is the short leg of my other 30, 60, 90 triangle. So to go from the short leg to the hypotenuse, I multiply by 2, so that's going to give me 42. To go from the short leg to the long leg, I multiply by the square root of 3, so that's going to give me 21 square roots of 3. So x is 14 square roots of 3, y is 42, and z is 21 square roots of 3. Okay, so the last example I have here is a 45, 45, 90 stacked on top of a 30, 60, 90. They give me information on the 30, 60, 90 of 18. And that information is the long leg. It's the side across from my 60-degree angle. So to go from the long leg to the short leg, I need to divide by the square root of 3. So 18 divided by the square root of 3. Again, I have to rationalize the denominator. So I get 18 square roots of 3 over 3. I can simplify this. 3 goes into 18 6 times, so this is 6 square roots of 3. To go from the short leg to the hypotenuse, I multiply by 2, so that gives me 12 square roots of 3. So z is 6 square roots of 3. Okay, so this is part of my 45, 45, 90. So now to go from the hypotenuse to the leg, I have to divide by the square root of 2. So I have 12 square roots of 3 divided by the square root of 2. I still have to rationalize my denominator, so I'm multiplying by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. So I get 12 square roots of 6 over 2. Again, I can simplify this because 2 goes into 12 6 times. So this is 6 square roots of 6, and y is also 6 square roots of 6. So x and y are both 6 square roots of 6. Okay? All right, so those were a lot of examples. Feel free to replay them, pause them, slow them down, because I know I spoke really fast, and I apologize for that. Good luck.